Hi, and welcome to Coffee with My Sunshine, and welcome to part 2 of my most favorite Christmas DIYs that we've done together. I will have a link for part 1 if you haven't seen that yet in the comment section down below. And I'm going to start with this video. I will have all the original videos listed in my description box in case you see some projects on here that you don't see in this video, and you can refer back to those. For this next one, it is so simple, and all you need is this tree from the dollar store. And the box, actually. Don't throw away the box. And some tacks. That's not really necessary in making it, but it's necessary in hanging it. So just take out the tree from the box. You're not going to use the stand, but because this DIY isn't ruining the tree at all, keep the stand in case next year or some other time you want to have the tree stand up. So lay out the tree while you're kind of fluffing the branches, but like lay it flat onto the table, and then just start fluffing the branches that are like facing up, and fluff them to the side and to the front, but make it so it stays flat on the bottom. Does that make sense? You can see what I'm doing. So this is going to be that floating tree. I just thought it would be really good for like narrow shelves, but anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So next you're just going to take the box and cut off the bottom. This is where my trash to treasure love comes in. And then you're going to need some ribbon if you want, or you could just paint the bottom or put like nautical rope or twine. That would be really pretty too. So I'm just taking this ribbon because I love the color. This is from oh gosh, I lost, I can't think of the name, hold on. Burlapfabric.com. Oh my gosh, that was difficult. Anyway, that's where I got it. I'll have it listed in the description box. So I just hot glued it around the edges because you'll be able to see the bottom, so you want to cover it so it looks pretty. And then I just wrapped it in the other direction. And used more hot glue. Where would we be without hot glue? So after it's all covered, I'm just going to take that bottom piece of the tree, and then I'm putting a large amount of hot glue on the bottom and the side of the box, just to make sure it's not going to move on us. And then still you want the tree kind of laying flat while this dries, because that's how you want the box to stay. Like you want it flat on the back side, just like the tree. And then I'm just taking some of this like cotton sheet, whatever it is, filler stuff, just to fill in the box so it doesn't look so empty. But anyway, I thought this would be super cute on those like if you have really narrow shelves that you can't fit like a full tree on, or just to hang on the wall. I think would be super cute, like with frames or something. I don't know, I just thought it was cool. And I'd never seen this idea. I know it's out there. I've seen giant trees where they hang on the wall, and I think that's awesome. But I have a video also if you'd like to see how you can bulk up these trees really easy and make them look like Pottery Barn style. But here you just take the tack, and I just painted it to match the color of the wall, and then you just set the tree on it. And it's not like super secure, so you might want a couple tacks or even a hook. But I don't know, it was so simple and so fun and really, really cheap. It was like $1, maybe $1.50 if you include the ribbon and tack. I don't know. But here it is. I think it's super pretty. Let me know what you guys think of this one. And if you're new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe and join our YouTube family. I have a lot of fun over here doing tons and tons of DIYs. So for this first one, you're just going to need some succulents, these ornaments, and everything I purchased here is pretty much from the Dollar Tree. You'll also need some of this floral foam or plastic foam, some sand, and one of these little garden dishes or plastic bowls. And I'm going to be using this white spray paint and also some gray, but I forgot to show you, and this glitter. So first I'm going to spray the succulents white. This is obviously preference on whatever color you want to go with. So I just took a box that I'd spray painted on before, obviously, and just poked holes so that it would hold the succulents in place. And I just gave each succulent a couple coats from different angles. That way you get underneath and from the side and, you know, to coat it really well. While those are drying, I just took the plastic dish and some of that gray paint and a sponge, because I like the texture it gives. And I'm just going to be dabbing all over this bowl. I want it to have like a cement look. And I'm using the gray Waverly chalk paint because I wanted it to be matte, just like cement or concrete would be. Then I'm taking this black and dabbing that on just like I did the gray, but a little bit less. And then I just layered it. You know, I did more light over the black until I was happy with what it looked like. And I also did a little bit on the inside because you're going to be seeing that even with the sand and stuff in it. So this is what it looks like completely dry. It kind of has a concrete look to it. So then I took those plastic foam pieces and glued them together because I wanted the height, and then I'm going to hot glue it to the bowl. And this, I didn't really know what to call it besides maybe it's like a Christmas centerpiece or something. So then I'm taking that bag of sand. I ended up using 2 bags because I just wanted it to be a little bit fuller. And this is also preference. You could do rocks, you could do pine cones, you could do whatever you want. I just thought this would look really pretty and kind of minimal, I guess. So after those were done drying, I should have done another coat of white, but I didn't. I took some adhesive spray and that glitter and sprinkled the glitter on the top. These probably would have been really pretty, except I wasn't daring enough to be spray painted like a matte black. I should try that. And then with the glitter added, I think that would be really pretty. And kind of, it would go with the DIYs I did in my last video that were more of the modern black, gold, and white look. I'll link that above if you're interested. So I took that second bag of sand and sprinkled it on top of the foam, just so you couldn't see it as much. And then filled in around the edges. And then I'm taking a little poker thing. This is a tool that I got from Arteza, but you could easily use a pencil or anything that would poke a hole. And I had trimmed off the bottom part of the succulent so that, you know, it would fit and wouldn't be sticking out really high. And I want to apologize. I didn't realize it until after I was done doing the video that I forgot to cover up my burn on my finger. I know it probably looks disgusting. So I really apologize, but I didn't want to scrap the video because of it. So just, I tried to trim out the the footage where it was like in your face. So I'm sorry. I'm also going to be adding some hot glue to the stems of these and then putting them back into the foam just so they stay in place a little bit better, because I know it's something my cat will probably want to chew on. Then I'm taking those Christmas bulbs and adding them to the sand. I think it just gives it like, I don't know, like a really happy vibe. I don't know, I like how the red stands out. I think it's really pretty. I also ended up adding, which you'll see here in a second, some of the vase filler that they have at the Dollar Tree because I thought it was really pretty too. You could leave it super simple like this. I think that's gorgeous. It would be awesome on like a coffee table or centerpiece on like a runner or something. But I thought I would show you both ways. So let me know what you guys think of this one. For this next one, I saw this really cute jar and thought it would be perfect for something I had in mind. It really reminds me of one that Yami from the Latina Next Door did recently for some, it was a fall decor. I think it was a centerpiece that she did on her table. It was gorgeous. So you should head on over and check that out. It was a similar vase, but not the same. So anyway, I'm using these picks. The first one was from the Dollar Tree. These two are from Walmart. They were only 98 cents a piece, but I loved them. I loved the little snowflakes and stuff on them and the sparkly, you know, I'm all about glitter. So I am going to be using this, it's like an off-white paint, and I'm adding baking soda to the mixture just to make it a little bit more matte because I didn't want it to be a shiny finish, and I just painted on a couple coats and then used the sponge to dab it on again just so that I didn't have brush strokes showing. But I think it's cool because it really makes the design on this stand out when you paint it. So this is where I used the sponge and the same color paint and just went over it. It kind of gives it like a ceramic look afterwards. Once it dries, I'll show you here in a second. See, I think it looks kind of cool like that. So then you're going to want to use a ribbon. I think this one, I can't remember if this one was from Walmart or Hobby Lobby, but it was super cheap. And I just put this on the top just so you didn't see the you know, the threads where you'd normally put the lid on, and I thought it just added a little bit of festiveness. So I'm getting really excited to decorate for Christmas. I'm really trying to hold out until after Thanksgiving, which is something my husband asked very nicely a long time ago, that I hold off on Christmas decorations because he just wants to be able to enjoy Thanksgiving, which I do too, but I love Christmas decorations. I don't know, I'm kind of torn. I really like having them up, but by the time Christmas is over, I am so ready to take them down. So I don't know. Maybe I couldn't do 2 full months of Christmas decorations. Never done it, but I think it would be fun to try once. So anyway, then I started adding the picks to the jar, and I thought it would be fine like this, but it just kind of like flopped. It didn't really have, I don't know, it didn't seem like it would stay. So I just took some floral foam and cut it up into little pieces and threw it in the bottom of the jar so that I could, you know, jab the picks in and they would stay in place. I don't know, I know this one was really simple and I've been doing a lot of simple DIYs, but sometimes those are the best. And I picked that little sign in the background from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to leave it because I think it's so cute. For the this last one, I was drawn to these little houses from the Dollar Tree, but I like all the colors, but it wouldn't go with my style that I'm going with this year. So I thought it'd be fun to try and paint them to make them look like the ones you see at like Pottery Barn or Target and all that. So I'm giving it a shot. I first thought I would spray paint it. I used this chalk paint, and I used this textured spray paint. My thought was to use that on the roofs. It sounded weird. So I ended up spraying them, gave them a couple coats, but the color was still coming through pretty strong. So I ended up just bringing them in, and plus it was so cold in my garage, nothing dries. So I'm just going to paint them with just regular paint like I used on the jar. And I just kind of dabbed it on so that it got into the little nooks and crevices, and then used a smaller paintbrush to get into the even smaller areas. And that worked awesome. It coated really well. And then I just took a dry brush and added some gray to it for the roof, like the shingles. And I did it really lightly, that way it still looked like there was snow on the roof. And this obviously doesn't have to be perfect. I don't know if you've seen the ones, I can't even tell you where they're from, but I've seen them on Pinterest and stuff, and I think they just look really cool. They're ceramic as well. So I'm taking some green paint and just adding it back to the wreath because I wanted these to have a little bit of color, like little pops of color. And then I added some red to the bow on the wreath. And I just thought it was super adorable. And I still wasn't happy with it after that, so I scratched off the paint where the sign was above the door that said antique shop. I just think that was super cute. And these are super cool because the bottom, you just take that sticker off and you put in a little tea light candle and the little windows glow. I'll show you here at the end. I only had one tea light candle, a fake one, battery powered. Don't obviously put a real one in here, but I only had one, so I put it in the little church, and I'll show you here in a second. So for the church, I thought it would be cute to do like a one that looked like a really old church. So I did some black on the top and then around the edges. I don't know, I think these are cool because you can get really creative, and if it doesn't work, just paint them white again and start over. I think these would be really cool if you did a bunch of them to do like a little village on like a little side table or something, or a shelf. So I did the same kind of thing on the roof as I did on the last one, and just went really lightly around the edges and on the rooftop. And I'm going to dab a little bit of red paint on the door because I've seen pictures, like winter pictures of really old churches, and they have a really weathered looking red door, and I don't know, just super cute. Then I wanted a wreath on here, so I just took a couple little like sprigs from some greenery and glued them together, and then added these little berry things from one of those picks from the jar I just did. And I glued it on there, and I think it's kind of cute. Like I said, this was just fun and kind of an experiment, and I think it turned out super adorable. Let me know what you guys think. And I hope you guys had fun with this like I did. And this one coming up is one from last year, but it was one of my favorites. So moving on to our next one, I'm going to be using these wood rounds that I got from Arteza. and also an old cookie cutter and some wrapping paper from Walmart. Oh, and this is just a quick ornament I thought I would show you using an old cookie cutter and some twine, and I just wrapped it around the little handle because I think that would look super cute on a little like kitchen Christmas tree, which I think I'm going to be doing is like a themed Christmas tree in my kitchen. I just got to get more of these cookie cutters. So anyway, onto the wood round, I'm just going to be painting it white, and I'll link them in the description box if you want to see, if you want to check these out from Arteza. So then I am taking the cookie cutter and laying it on top of the wrapping paper and just tracing it, and then I'm going to cut it out. And then after you've cut it out, you're just going to Mod Podge it onto the wood round and make sure the paint is already dry. Okay, so here I'm just hot gluing the knot that I put in the twine to the back so that it doesn't, you know, go up to the front and look ugly, or go up to the top and look ugly. And then I'm going to take just a wood bead, and I decided to add a couple of other colors. And then I did a little bit of hot glue on the top bead, like into the hole to hold them in place. So then you're going to, on just a plain piece of paper, kind of sketch out a body of a deer. Just the body, because the legs and everything are going to be from wood. Then after that, you're going to cut that sketch out of a pretty Christmas fabric. And this is another fabric that I got from Walmart. You're going to need to cut out 2, because you're going to want to put them like good side together, face to face, basically. So the wrong side is facing out on both sides, because we are going to hot glue them together. And you're just going to go in a very, very thin strip of hot glue, or you can stitch them or sew them by hand, whatever. I'm not the best at sewing, as you all know. So I'm going to be using hot glue, and you're just going to basically go around the outline of the body. And here I left the head part open because you're going to have to turn it right side out. But I would suggest, because I wasn't super happy with leaving the head part open, leave the back part open, because that's going to be a lot easier for stuffing and for closing shut. So then after you've done that, you're going to turn it right side out. And this is what it looks like so far. And you're just going to take some stuffing. You can use that. You can use probably toilet paper, paper towel. You could probably use like a grocery bag, like we did with the homemade sweater pumpkins. Anything to fill this up and give it some squish. So you're just going to keep stuffing until you just can't stuff anymore. And then if you can, get your hot glue gun in there and seal up most of the head. If you did it this way, like I said, I would recommend doing it, leaving the back part open. And basically here's the shape of your deer. And this is the inspiration that I was kind of going from. They're from Kirkland's, and they're just little plush deer ornaments. They don't have a ton of detail, that's why I liked them. And then I'm just taking some sticks from my yard that I broke into pieces. And then you kind of just shove them into a little bit of a hole, which you want to leave a hole at the top. I had forgotten, so I cut a hole. And then I used a little bit of hot glue to hold the antlers in place. And then for the legs, I'm cutting 4 holes kind of on the side of the fabric, the side bottom part, and that's where we're going to put the legs. And I put a little bit of hot glue on to the top of the sticks before I shoved them in the hole, that way they stay in place. And then if you want, you can seal up the hole even more with hot glue. And this is what he looks like so far. And then I'm taking a little bit of twine to make the bow like it showed in the picture. I just did 3 strands of it. And then for the tail, I'm just taking the top piece of a pine cone and gluing that on the back, and then taking a little bit of chalk paint and adding a tiny bit to his antlers, legs, and tail. And I think he's kind of cute. You'll see you don't really need a hanger for him when you put him onto the tree, because you can just set him on a branch. For this next one, you're going to need an old book, some twine, and a marker. And we're going to be making a garland for your Christmas tree. And for mine, I'm spelling out the words Merry Christmas. You could do anything. You could do joy, you know, whatever Christmas word you would like. And I think if I were to do this again, I would probably either use a stencil or just be a lot more careful with my letters, because I like it better with thinner letters. I saw a picture of this on Pinterest, so that's what I'm trying to recreate. So after you've got the outline of your letters, you just fill them in with, I'm using black marker. I guess you could use paint or whatever works best for you. And these markers are from Arteza. I can also list them in the description box. And then we're going to take that twine and the book pages, and I just folded over a tiny part on the top, just enough to hold the twine in place. And make sure the twine is tucked under that fold. And I used tape. I would use, if you use tape, I would use it all the way across the fold, because I just did it in the center and it doesn't hold it in place like I wanted it to. It kind of lets the letters or the pages move a little bit more than I would have liked. So I've really been liking this rustic kind of country vintage look for Christmas, but I also like farmhouse. I also like the neutral colors. And I'm not really sure, is it okay to mix all of them, or room by room, can they be different? Let me know what you guys think. Now for this next one, all you'll need is a couple pieces of cardboard and a cookie cutter. Doesn't have to be a Christmas tree, but that's what I'm using. And I'm just going to trace the Christmas tree and cut it out. And then I'm taking a little bit of Mod Podge and I'm putting on this doily. This was one left over from the Dollar Tree. They sell them in a really big pack. And I'm going to let that dry, and then I traced another one of the Christmas trees, but I actually wanted it a little bit smaller, but I still wanted the outline of the big one, so I knew how big I was going to draw it. And this was the inspiration for these trees. I'm not going to do it exactly or really even close. I just like the look of those, so I'm just going to kind of do my own thing. And then I added a little bit of chalk paint just to give it a little bit of a rustic look. And then I'm cutting off the doily and taking some sandpaper because it works really, really well to get a clean edge to get the doily off, or paper, whatever you're using. Then I just hot glued the other Christmas tree on top, and because I didn't want it to look like cardboard, I'm going to be gluing these beads along the edge. And then I'm taking some more hot glue and this copper colored glitter and just hot gluing it along the edge of that cardboard so that it kind of masks the look of cardboard. And then you just poke a hole in the top and put a little hanger in there. I'm using twine. And I think it's so cute. I think it actually looks like a cookie. And I love the little bit of glitter on there too. And here's the final look. Let me know what you guys think of these ornaments. This deer I think is probably my favorite, but let me know what your favorite is. Today I am doing another like winter Christmas DIY video. So if you'd like to see this, please keep watching. So first I am starting with these Dollar Tree snowflakes. They're super cute. I think you can get something similar at Hobby Lobby. And also if you remember my video on how I made these curtain tiebacks for fall, I am using those same beads. I will have that video linked in my description box as well and probably up in the corner. So I'm taking that leaf off. I made it super simple to remove so that I could change it up for the seasons. And then I am just going to add the snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. And really, that's just about it. The simplest DIY I could have shown you. But I love it because I can keep using it for each season, all through the year. And it's cool because it's super useful. And I think it's really pretty. And I can keep this up even after Christmas because it's more wintry than Christmas. For this next one, I am taking 4 Dollar Tree frames. Originally I was going to do 6, but I only have room for 4. And actually this DIY is one that was in my Christmas decorate video with me that came out this morning on my other channel. And it's right here up in the corner if you want to click on that when the video is done, or I will have it listed in the comments and the description box. Also for this DIY, you need some sort of wintry pick and some hot glue. And also a really good like permanent glue. I'm using this clear Gorilla Glue. And I know everybody's seen this DIY like so many times, but I really needed a window. I'll show you an inspiration pic that I saw at Michael's. So mine, I'm going to be painting black. You could go with white, you could go with red, you could go with wood colors, whatever you want, whatever fits your style. But I took some black paint and also added a little bit of baking soda just so it wasn't like super shiny. And I'm just going to give it one coat because I want some of the wood grain or wood color to show through because it does have a wood grain. I don't know if you can see it right there, but it was super pretty. And I wanted it to look like kind of like an old window. And after giving them all one good coat, I put the glass back in. And here's the inspiration piece. I saw it at Michael's, but it was really expensive and I didn't want to pay that much. And see how that has 6 panels? Well, where I'm putting it, I only could fit 4. So that's why I'm going with 4 instead. So then after the glue is nice and dry, I'm taking that Gorilla Glue and putting it in spots down the side of the frame, and then also using hot glue just to hold it in place while the Gorilla Glue dries. And then I'm doing that to all of the frames, you know, so that they're glued on the sides and the top and bottom. And you want to let that dry really good. I think Gorilla Glue, I think it's like 2 hours. And then you want to flip it over, and I am using some paint stir sticks just to firm it up a little bit, because even though you use like a really good glue, it still is a little bit wobbly, and I don't know, kind of made me nervous. So I'm adding some stir sticks and then some along the edges, like you want them, you know, along the seam. And I just broke mine. I need a little saw, but I don't have one. So then I am taking some popsicle sticks and going across the frames, if you know what I mean, where they meet, just to firm those up a little bit too. And then flip it over, and where you might see some glue like poking through, if you can't like dig it out, just paint over it. That way it takes away the shiny glue look. And then I am taking that little pick that I got from Michael's. It was actually half off, so it was a really good deal. Or you could take some from the Dollar Tree and make your own. And then I took it outside, and you've seen me use this mirror spray, but it gives it like a mercury glass look. And it's kind of cool to watch it dry because it dries really fast. But I gave it one good coat, and then you can take some vinegar and water and spray it on the window, and then like dab it with a napkin. I've done this in some of my other videos. I can link them in my description box if you want to check those out. But I kept doing that in layers. I would spray the mirror spray, and then spray the vinegar spray and dab it, and it just gives it like an antiqued look. And I should have showed you this before, but this is the mirror spray that I use. It's by Valspar. And then let it dry really well. And this kind of paint, it will rub off, so be careful. That's why you want to do it on the opposite side of the glass. It gives it more of a shiny look on the other side, and also makes it so you can't rub it off. So then I'm taking that pretty wintry pick and hot gluing it on. I'm using some ribbon. And I think it's super pretty. This is where I'm going to be putting it. This is actually a clip from my Christmas Decorate With Me video. So like I said, be sure to check that out. And then I am taking a Christmas bulb from the Dollar Tree and some more of that mirror spray, and I'm spraying it on the inside and rolling it around, letting it coat the whole thing. And you have to kind of do this over and over. If you want, you can use a blow dryer. I would do it outside. That's what I did. And then after it dries, it looks really pretty like this. It almost looks like real mercury glass. And you can use any type of greenery you want to decorate it a little bit. But I wanted the top painted black and rubbed off a little bit so that it gave it more of a vintage look to go with the mercury glass. And then I'm taking some of this buffalo check ribbon. I think it's super pretty. And then hot gluing some of the little greenery picks that I had. Let me know what you guys think. I know they were super simple, but I think they were really pretty. This next one, you'll have to excuse the volume on it. When I recorded it, the music was really loud, so I apologize. I chose to do the modern Christmas tree, and this tree is gorgeous. I saw it on Rebecca Robson's YouTube channel. And my husband was so sweet and said he would help me out on this because it took a lot of tools. So he took some Lexan and measured out the circles that we would need for the tree. He took the saber saw and cut out the circles for me, and then we sanded them down with this rigid tabletop sander. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. And then we went ahead and sanded the edges down by hand. And then we took the circles inside and we marked where we wanted the chain to go through to hold them together. And we held those with a little bit, we knotted the bottom and then we held the rest of it with hot glue. And it seemed to work. We measured out the length in between the circles that we wanted, marked them with masking tape. And then we assembled the tree and then marked where we wanted the ornaments. And my husband drilled holes all along for me to put the ornament hooks through. And this is what we came up with. I thought it turned out really, really pretty. It's not exactly like the modern Christmas tree, but I love how it turned out. And I'm not sure that we're going to keep it over the dining room table because it does take up a lot of room. But we'll probably hang it in the corner in the living room or something, maybe with a light underneath. I think that would be really pretty. Today I am going to be doing some really pretty and budget-friendly Christmas or winter decor DIYs. First, we're going to start with this foam board. I got mine from Walmart, but I know that Dollar Tree has it too. We're going to be using some Mod Podge. You need some scissors, a ruler, and some wrapping paper. And also a gift bag. I thought this one was really pretty. It was from Walmart. So this DIY is going to be a really pretty sign, and I'm just going to first start by measuring how much of the border I want there to be. So how much of the black I want to show, and then how much of the frame I need to make, because I'm going to be making my own frame, not out of wood. It's out of the foam board as well. So I just measured it, and then I took an X-Acto and cut it. I'm really not the best with X-Actos, so sorry if you're cringing here. But I've tried to cut a foam board with scissors and it's just a disaster. It's never straight. I need to get a longer ruler or a square. That would probably help a lot. But after I cut off the excess, I'm going to be using that, so don't toss it if you're making one of these. Then with the excess piece, you're going to measure out how big you want the border or the frame. I just did a 1/2 inch, and obviously I didn't cut all the way through, so I had to go back in with the X-Acto and score it a little bit better. I'm just the worst with X-Actos. I think because they scare me a little bit. So then after you have all your pieces cut out, because the size of my foam board or frame is a little bit bigger than all the pieces I had, I'm going to have to cut and glue some pieces together, but you're not going to be able to tell because you're going to take this wrapping paper and cover those pieces. And I couldn't find my glue stick that would probably work really well, so I'm just using some double-sided sticky tape. And then I realized I didn't even have to do that. I could just use the hot glue gun. I just didn't want to do it on the top part because you know how when you use hot glue, it like bubbles up and leaves like you can feel it, and sometimes you can see it through whatever you're working with. So that's why I originally started with the tape, and you'll see how I changed it up here in a minute. But you want to wrap the wrapping paper around the whole piece of the frame, and then leave a little bit of excess like I did there, because that's what's going to hang over the edge of the foam board, and that's what you're going to glue on the back. That way it just looks like one frame piece. If that makes sense. Sometimes I just feel like I'm just like talking and not making any sense to anybody but me. So I just hot glued that piece on, and then I'm going to flip over the foam board and glue it on the other side. And I got this wrapping paper at Tractor Supply. If you haven't been there to check out their decor, they have just like 2 aisles, but it's filled with really pretty Christmas decor right now, and they have really fun wrapping paper. So check it out if you get a chance. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to do these pieces all the way around to give it a framed look. And this is what I was talking about. Oh, right here, I'm showing you. When I put that frame piece on, I lifted it up because it wasn't exactly straight, and then ripped the foam board. So that was kind of frustrating, but just thought I'd let you know so you don't do the same thing. So this is the long piece of the frame that I said I didn't have a long enough piece, so I just cut from the excess and glued them together. And then because we're wrapping it in the wrapping paper, you're not going to be able to tell. And I wanted to thank you guys so much. I've been getting some awesome comments from all of you guys, and you guys are just so sweet and so positive, and I love reading your comments. Like I said before in my last video, sometimes I don't get to reply to all of them because there's so many, and I adore all of you. I really appreciate the support, and I don't know. So I just wanted to say thank you. So then I'm just finishing it up and putting the last little frame piece on. So then this started a really frustrating few minutes for me because I cut the bag like I wanted to, and then I tried to pull off this little handle, and it ended up ripping it, so it was kind of see-through at the top, and it also creased the paper. So I sprayed it with water thinking, okay, I was going to use Mod Podge. It wouldn't lay right, so I just had to put it away for the night and let it dry. That's why it's all wrinkly. So I hope yours doesn't do that. I should have started with tacks and not even tried the Mod Podge or spraying the paper, but these are the tacks I'm using. I think they're actually like furniture tacks, but it's cool because it kind of will help you hang it on the wall because they go right through the sign and the foam board and right into the wall. So I'm just using these to attach the sign to the frame in all four corners, and it is a bit wrinkly, which kind of makes me sad, but you get the idea of what I was going for. I hope yours turns out way better. But in the end, I'm kind of happy with it. I don't know, I like the colors together. I think they're very modern and very pretty and just simple, but still Christmassy. For this next one, another super simple one. This vase I got from Goodwill, and it was super cheap. I'm also going to be using this ribbon I got from, I think this one was from Hobby Lobby. Yes, because it was $9.99 and I got it half off because everything Christmassy is half off. Then I am using this burlap ribbon from burlapfabric.com. I will link them in my description box. They have fabulous fabrics. I thought I was going to be using this yarn. I'll show you what I ended up using. I'm using these bells from the Dollar Tree and these paints because I'm going to show you how I make antiqued looking bells or rustic bells. You'll also need like a sponge. Super simple. I had it in one of my other videos last year and it seemed like everybody loved them, so I thought I would do it again this year so you didn't have to go searching for that video. So I'm just taking that burlap and I'm going to glue it onto the vase. And if you don't have a vase like this, like a square one, they have those square glass ones at the Dollar Tree that you could just paint white, and I think that would be really pretty and look almost identical. So yes, I'm using the end of a marker to push down the burlap onto the vase because I've burned my fingers so many times. And then I'm taking the buffalo check fabric and doing the same thing right over the burlap. If you couldn't tell, I'm going for a black and white Christmas theme here because I think it's so pretty and just so simple and festive. So after that's dried, I'm going to grab some twine. Nope, that's a lie. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to show you how I do these bells. I'm using this dark brown first because you want to take some of that gold out of there. So you want to use a sponge like this because if you used a paintbrush, you would just leave streaks. And this is so fast. It's just cool to see it transform into like a rusty old bell. So you could leave it there if you wanted, or I like to add a little bit of metallic on top of it, just to give it more of the effect. Then I'm taking some of this metallic brown and going over most of it in the same way we did with the brown. I also have a video, it might even be the same one, where I did the bells in white and then just did the edges like a rusty look. That I will link in the description box if you guys are interested. After the bells have dried, I'm taking this bronze and I am just patting on the color right along the edges, just to give it a little bit more dimension. And here's the two. One is with the bronze and the other one is without. So whatever, it's your preference. I like them both. So now this is where I was going to take the yarn and wrap it around, but I did not like it. It was too thick. So I ended up using twine and just tying it around once and then adding the bells at hanging at different lengths. And if you guys want more Christmas DIY inspiration, I put together a giant video of like 30 DIY Christmas DIYs that I've done that were my favorite so far. So if you want to check that out, I will have that listed probably in the comment section and in the description box. So I'm just taking some of this greenery and just cutting it into little sprigs and then gluing it under the twine. Just to give it a little bit something more. And then I just added a little burlap bow that I tied, or not burlap, twine, excuse me. Sometimes my brain doesn't work. And I'm just taking one of the trees from the Target dollar spot and putting it in there because I just absolutely love these trees. They're so worth the $3 or $5, whichever ones you pick. For this last one, I am using this copper tubing that I got from our local hardware store, super cheap, but I thought it was really, really pretty. And I am using some sort of greenery and little like wintry picks. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to go with yet. You can also use beads, which I did end up using beads. These are from craftparts.com. I will list that in my description box as well. They have some awesome crafting pieces at super cheap prices, and some ribbon. You can use whatever you want to do to decorate, because this is going to be a wreath. So I am taking this little charger plate just so that I could get the circle, because we have to bend this into kind of a perfect circle, or try. So my husband is helping me with this. I could have done it, but sometimes I like his help. So he just kind of messed around with it and made it more circular, because I had kind of jumbled it up. So anyway, he took these, I think he said they were wire snips. I can't remember what he called them, and just cut the copper. And then after he got it the size that he wanted, he's clipping off a little bit more because he's going to make the ends fit into each other. So he's squishing it down with these pliers just on one end. And then he's using the screwdriver. He said there is a tool that expands the edge of this tubing. I can't remember what it's called, but you just stick it in there and kind of wiggle it around. That way the other end of the tubing fits right in there, nice and snug. You can also add some Gorilla Glue to hold it together, but I didn't want it permanently shut, so I just had him leave it like that, and then I added on the beads. And I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on there after I'm done doing the wreath, just because I want to make sure that I don't need to add more things. So I'm just taking little sprigs of this, I think it's eucalyptus, and using some floral wire and then just a dab of hot glue. And then I'm taking these little really pretty decorative picks. I just took it apart. They were from the Dollar Tree. I just thought the little, it's kind of like a rose gold color. I just thought that was really pretty with the glitter. Then I'm taking that black ribbon and just tying it around, or wrapping it around the greenery and the little picks, just to hold it in place a little bit better, and then putting a little bit more hot glue where you can't see it, just because I don't want, obviously, the stuff falling off. And I was kind of playing around what I wanted there. I thought I wanted a little bulb or these little vase filler things, but I don't know, it just wasn't hitting me. So I grabbed another bell and painted it in the same way I did with the rustic bells, but used copper. So then I just cut the ribbons so that they were angled, and I think it's super pretty. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you guys are decorating for Christmas this year. Also, if you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you really enjoyed this. And if you did, I would love for you to subscribe and join my YouTube family. Today I'm going to be working on some mercury glass DIYs because you guys seem to really like that in my last video, and also just some really pretty cozy and homey decor ideas. So I would love for you to join me. We're going to be starting out in my yard because I'm going to be taking this glass vase from the Dollar Tree and this little, it's like a little candy dish from the Dollar Tree, and this you can use any containers that you have because we are just going to be using this mirror spray like I did in my last video. You guys really like that. I have a couple more ideas. If you want to see them, let me know. And you just take whatever container you're using and give it a good coat. I usually do a really thin coat each time. You don't, with this stuff, you don't want to layer it on super thick like you would spray paint. So I just sprayed the bottom, and now I'm just going to spray the inside because with this mirror spray or looking glass spray, you want to spray the inside or the opposite side of what's going to be facing out, if you know what I mean. Like my last DIY, go back to that if you want to see like how you could make like a mercury glass or faux vintage antiqued mirror. So I just sprayed this bowl, and it doesn't matter if you get like the little leaky spots there because you're going to take a wet paper towel and some vinegar and water mixed together and spray it on the where you just spray painted and dab it with the paper towel, and this is going to give you that old vintage look, like the mercury glass look. And then you just keep doing that. You do light layers, and this stuff dries super fast. And you just give it another good coat and then spray it again and just keep dabbing until you're happy with how it looks. And then for this vase, it's a little bit more difficult, not too bad, it's kind of fun, but you want to get a good amount in there. You don't have to coat it evenly, you just spray until it starts like dripping. And then you kind of like roll around the vase or whatever you're using until you get it coated. And you just keep turning it until it like coats itself, and you want to get a good amount. Or you could leave it like that. Those cool designs would be awesome once they dried. But I wanted to show you I don't necessarily recommend using a blow dryer, but I just wanted to show you how fast it dries and how cool it looks. If you can see up at the top, it dries like really like with a chrome finish. But I'm doing it outside because obviously when you spray paint and then use a hair dryer, it makes the fumes really bad. But I just wanted to show you, I think that is so cool how fast it works. But I ended up going back and spraying more in there and then just rolling it around until it coated the whole thing, and I'll show you that shortly. But this is the little candy dish. And because this stuff kind of rubs off easily, somebody had suggested painting after you're done coating with the mirror spray. Somebody suggested painting over top of it. That way it kind of seals it, which I thought that was brilliant. I'd never even thought to do that. So she said to use latex paint, that works the best. Well, I didn't have any in the color that I wanted, so I'm trying a little bit of acrylic paint because I wanted to go with like another metallic-y color. So I first did like a copper color, and then I wanted it to be a little bit more intense, so I went with this bronze. And I want to thank you for giving me the idea to paint over it and seal it in. Thank you. That will make my projects a lot more fun, because before I was having to be really careful to not rub it off. But like I said in the beginning, if you guys want to see more of these mercury glass projects, let me know, because I have a few more ideas and a few more experiments I want to try. So let me know in the comments. But that bronze paint, it looks really cool. I just need to give it a couple more coats because it's kind of streaky. And I think it's super pretty. And I thought it would be cute with these little kisses in there. Those are my favorite, by the way. They are so good. So if you haven't tried them, they're the candy cane ones. They're awesome. I'm allergic to chocolate, so those are the best things next to regular Hershey Kisses. And then this is that vase. Wasn't sure how I wanted to style it, but I threw some candy canes in there and some greenery. And I thought it looked kind of wintry and Christmassy if you wanted to go that direction. But isn't it so pretty? I love the mirror look to it. For this next one, another super simple DIY, I am taking a bowl from the Dollar Tree and I am painting it white. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I wanted it to be more of like a shiny white, because I wanted to do this DIY. I wanted it to look like the enamel finish bowls. So I went with a high gloss white and just coated it really well. So will you guys let me know what kind of DIYs you're looking forward to seeing, or what you're sick of? Are you guys done with Christmas and ready to move on? Just let me know, give me ideas for videos. Also, if you're into decorating and cleaning videos and stuff like that, I have another channel if you'd like to subscribe. I just put up my Christmas Decorate With Me video where I decorated part of my house. I have a couple other videos coming out as well. So if you'd like to check that out, that channel is Life, Love, and Endless Laundry. I would love for you to join me over there. So for this bowl, after it dried, I am taking a wet sponge. Well, it's damp. I squeezed out most of the water. And I'm using some black paint. You could use red if you're going with like the Christmas look, but I wanted to be able to use this, all year round. And then just dab it along the edge of the bowl to give it that like chipped enamel look. I'm sure you've seen them at like Hobby Lobby and stuff. I just think they're super cool looking. And I just made a mistake and dabbed it on the edge, which I ended up liking. It gives it more of the chippy look. So I added a few more. So that's where I goofed. So I'm just going to add some more just to make it look like it was on purpose. And then I'm taking some ornaments. These happen to be from the Dollar Tree, but you could use whatever you have. And I did this a little bit backwards. You're going to see me struggle here in a minute. I should have put the tree in first, but I was so excited to put the ornaments in. And these little ones are also from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm taking this tree. This is from the Target Dollar Spot, and it still has one of the acorns that I did. I did a acorn ornament video. If you want to see that, I'll link that up in the cards above. And this is where I was really struggling. I don't know why I didn't put the tree in first. That was really, really dumb. And pops of red or green or whatever your color scheme is in your house, I think would look really pretty. There's my lonely little acorn. And I think this is a perfect decor piece to put in your bathroom. I don't know why, but I see this as a decoration piece for your bathroom. And I believe that's probably where I'm going to be putting it in my house. And for this last one, I saw this at a cute little shop when I went with my mom and my daughter, and I wanted to recreate it. So I'm taking this scrap piece of wood and some brown paint, a couple different colors. Usually I use a baby wipe for this technique, but I didn't have any more, so I'm just using a wet rag and dabbing it into the brown paints and smearing it on. Sorry, I had to readjust my lighting because the sun was coming in super bright. And I just keep wetting my rag so it doesn't go on super thick. And then you don't have to let it dry. You take the next color that you're using and layer it on top. So here, because I don't have any cursive stencils, I'm asking for some for Christmas, so I'm excited. I am freehanding this, and I was really nervous about it because I am not good with freehand. So that's why I was starting with a pencil. And I might redo it because my letters were all crooked, but I'm having fun practicing. And the sign is going to say, "Give it to God and go to sleep," which is something I guess I really need to work on because I get super stressed and can't sleep. And when I showed this to my mom, she said that that's something I should practice a little bit more of. And when I showed it to my husband, he said the same thing. So obviously I need to do better. So I went through about 4 markers that didn't work. I also need to add markers to my Christmas list, apparently. So I kept having, I was trying with this marker to use black paint, so I kept dabbing it in the paint because I can steer markers better or control them better than a paintbrush. So that's why I was using the paint on the marker, because this marker was all dried out. And then I just gave up and went and got some Sharpies. And these are the Sharpies I ended up getting. So I've been kind of practicing with freehand, you know, doing the fancy letters. I'm not very good at it yet, but I have learned, like, first you just kind of get the outline of what you want. And then you can go back in and like fill in to make some of the letters thicker in some spots. But first just get it down, get the words down what you want them to say. And obviously I should have used a ruler and probably centered it better, but I can always redo this. I just love the idea of this sign. If you have any freehand techniques or tips that you can give me, that would be awesome. I would love to hear the ideas that you guys have and what you do to, I don't know, make them look super pretty. So if you're still with me, I hope you guys are really enjoying these. And let me know down in the comment section what kind of videos you're going to want to see after Christmas. Like, what are your favorite videos to watch on YouTube? So to start, you're just going to need some sort of box that you can wrap up. These bells, I got mine from the Dollar Tree. And these Christmas bulbs, they look vintage. That's what I was going for. And also you'll need some ribbon. I believe mine was from Eek. I can't remember if it's Walmart or Hobby Lobby. But I'm first taking these Christmas bulbs, and they're from the Dollar Tree. They're not really vintage, so I'm not ruining them. But I took an old Kleenex box and put screws in there so that it holds the light bulbs up because I'm going to paint them. I know it probably looks weird, but I didn't want to get it all over my fingers. And I'm going to paint them all this really pretty red color. And then while those are drying, I'm just taking some of this craft paper and I'm wrapping that light bulb box because this is going to be like a Christmas present that you can decorate with. You can put it on any shelves, you can put under the tree. And then I am just taking that ribbon, and I wanted to go for more of like an old vintage traditional look, and I'm just wrapping it around. And I think this is so pretty. It just reminds me of the old Christmas colors and stuff like that from when I was little. And then I'm just taking one of those jingle bells from the Dollar Tree and gluing it on the top. And then after those Christmas lights were dry, I'm just taking some gold paint and putting it on the top just to make it look like, you know, like a real Christmas bulb. And I didn't do it perfect because I wanted it to have that vintage kind of like used look. And then I just went ahead and did that to all of them. And when they were dry, I took my hot glue gun. And first I just glued where, you know, like at that little spot where we painted. And then I found out it didn't hold in place like I wanted. So I started gluing at that top piece and then a little bit alongside the bottom of the bulbs, just so they held in place a little bit better. But I think this turned out super cute. I don't know. I like decorating with fake packages until I get the real ones wrapped. And also, if you're new to my channel, I would like to welcome you. I do tons and tons of DIYs for every season, every holiday, just like all the other crafters. I have so much fun. I also have another channel. It's more of a lifestyle channel where I do decorating, cleaning, shop with me, home renovations, that kind of thing. So I would love for you to join me over there as well. So for my next Christmas DIY, I am going to be making a copper tree. All you need is this copper tubing and this little foam tree. Originally, I was going to do a couple small ones using this foam tree as like kind of just like the base to twirl the tubing. But as I started unraveling the tube, it was already coming out like in a Christmas tree shape. So this DIY took a little bit of a turn, and I just ended up making a giant copper tree. And this stuff's kind of like really fun to play with. I used this in a another DIY. I did a copper wreath. I will link that above if you're interested. But all I had to do was just like keep stretching and I don't know, kind of like untwirling the tubing and making the bottom bigger and the top smaller, and it just kept getting taller and taller, and I think it's so pretty. And this is probably one of the most easy DIYs I've done. So for the top it was probably the hardest part of this whole DIY, but it wasn't hard at all. So I just took that foam tree just to give me kind of like a mold to use because this stuff can crimp like if you try and turn it too sharp. So I wanted it to just be like a smooth spiral up, and that's it. I think it's so pretty, and it was super easy. I think there's also copper wire or even just like regular wire that you could use. For this next one, I am taking this drop cloth that I got from Goodwill. It was still brand new in the package for $3.99, so I couldn't pass it up because I love this kind of fabric. So I am just going to take just a little piece of it, and I wanted the hemmed sides. So I'm just cutting 2 layers of it. And then I just lined it up, and I'm going to do my very best and draw out a stocking shape. I wanted something smaller for like a tiered tray or something. I ended up making it a little bit bigger than my tier tray could handle, but I know how to make them and they're super simple now. So I'm gonna make a smaller one for my tiered tray. And then I just cut out both layers. I did them separately because whenever I try and cut double layers, it always ends up twisting and turning on me, and one's bigger and one's crooked, you know. So I just traced it onto the other piece. I wanted the seams or the hems on the same side. So how many of you make your own stockings? I've made mine the past few times, and I think I'm going to make them again. I don't know. I just like to make them more personal, I guess. So I'm just taking some of this liquid stitch because I am not a good sewer. If you've been with me for a long time, you know that. And I used to use hot glue, but now I'm just in love with this liquid stitch. It works so much better because you can like flatten it down, where sometimes hot glue you still feel the bubbles in it, but this stuff dries within 2 hours and it's just amazing. So I am taking a piece of the scrap fabric, and I'm just going to be making a little loop for the hanger at the top. And this is where I should have painted it because I ended up painting it later, but it's a little bit harder when it's already attached to the stocking. So before the liquid stitch dried, I just hot glued this on. I could have used the liquid stitch for this as well. I'll probably make a couple of these for my pets because we give them treats on Christmas, so it'd be perfect size. So I wanted to go for like a vintage look on this as well. So I'm doing like the grain sack look, and I did a sign like this not too long ago. I'll link that up in the cards if you're interested. I did kind of the same effect but different colors and on a sign. So I'm taking some red paint, acrylic paint on a sponge, and just dabbing it up the strip that I made with the tape. And you can change up the size of the strips that you want. I did kind of a wide strip down the center. And then I like to dab on the paint lightly in each layer. You can do it all in one swoop, but sometimes that leaks under the tape. So then I want two little stripes on the side. So I'm laying down the tape where I want the other one to start. And these are basically just going to be lines. So I just make the exposed piece of fabric really thin between the two pieces of tape and do the same technique as I did for the thicker strip. This is just so easy. So I would love if you're new to my channel to pop into the comments and say hi and introduce yourself. I love chatting with you guys. And also let me know if you're new here, what types of DIYs are your favorite to watch, because I like to include those things in my video rotations. So I did another strip on the other side, the same distance from the thick strip. And I just think it's so cute, and just let it dry. Super simple. And this is where I end up painting the hanger. I should have done it before I put it on, but it worked out just fine. I just dabbed it with the sponge and the red paint and then took a little bit on a paintbrush to get closer to the stocking. And then because I wanted it to look a little bit more worn, I just pulled on the edges to make it fray a little bit. And that's it. I think it's super pretty. It can be hung on a Christmas tree, it can be just decoration, can be hung on fireplace for your pets or for a little one or grandkids. I just think it's perfect. So for this next one, I am taking a Dollar Tree sign and I'm just removing the hanger because I'm going to end up painting over the word believe. But first I wanted to seal in all the glitter with Mod Podge, because if you've ever tried to remove the glitter on these signs, it just becomes a huge disaster. And I did this last year in one of my videos, and somebody said, don't waste your time, just seal over it with Mod Podge and it doesn't move. So I've done that ever since, and I'm so thankful for that tip. I love when I get tips and ideas from you guys. It just makes my life so much easier. So then as that's drying, I'm going to make the other part of this project, and I'm just taking this ribbon and cutting them all the same length. So what this is going to be, it's going to be a card holder. So you want them kind of long so that the cards can be spaced out like your Christmas cards. And I am putting these wood beads, which I got from craftparts.com. I'll list in my description box if you want to check them out. They have some awesome wood pieces for really affordable prices. But I'm putting these wood beads at the bottom, so it's kind of like a weight on each of the ribbons. And plus it looks pretty. Anything you put wood beads on, I think it ends up looking really pretty. And I wanted to do something a little bit extra at the bottom of the ribbon, so I just cut a little tail in it. What is that called? Dovetail or ducktail, or I can't remember. And then you can go ahead and tie a knot at the bottom of the wood bead, or just put some hot glue in there to hold them in place if you want. But then I got these clothespins from the Dollar Tree. I just thought they were adorable. They're so cute and little. But this is going to be what holds your Christmas cards on. So after the Mod Podge was done drying, I just took some tape so that I didn't paint where I didn't want to paint. I'm using black, but go with whatever color fits your style. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about you guys. What kind of decor style do you have? What do you guys enjoy watching? So after I am done painting the Believe, I am just taking this black Sharpie marker and I'm going to go over all the green lines, the like border around this sign. And you can also paint over the whole thing. Like if you wanted the part where it says "In the Magic of Christmas," you could paint over the whole thing white and then just you know, write "In the Magic of Christmas" over that. I should have done that because this turned out a little bit more green than I wanted. But anyway, I am just taking that Sharpie marker and writing over the words in black. And then took some paint to fill in where the red glitter just had filled in the letters, and it was a little bit too light, so I tried to end up fixing it with some darker paint. I didn't quite match it very well, but that's okay. So then I'm taking some little greenery pieces that I have and just clipping off ones that look like pine needles. And then just filling in the spot where they had all the green glitter, because I just wanted it to have a little bit of dimension, and just hot glued all the way around. And then took some red berries and glued where they had the red glitter berries. Then I flipped the sign over, and this is where I'm attaching those pieces of ribbon with some hot glue. And here it is all finished. I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I wish I would have painted it a little bit just to get rid of some of that green tint to it. And then I am adding a hanger back in. I'm just using some twine because I thought it went better with the look of the sign. And here it is, all ready for our Christmas cards to show up. Today I'm going to be working on 3 Christmas DIYs. They are super simple. Let's start with my favorite one. You're going to need some rope, liquid stitch or a hot glue gun, some sort of stencil, and I am using this drop cloth fabric, but you can use whatever you want. I cut my piece to be roughly 24 inches wide and 34 inches tall. You can cut 2 pieces. I only cut 1 because this is going to be kind of like a bag or a sack. What you want to do is turn it inside out. And you can use this liquid stitch stuff. This is my favorite to use on fabric. But for the top, I'm going to be using my hot glue gun just to speed this video along a little bit because it dries faster. The top part is where I'm going to start hot gluing, and this is where you're going to want to make kind of like a loop, because this is where we're going to thread our rope through. So you don't want to glue it all the way down flat. You want the little loop so that you can put the rope through it and feed it through both sides. Then I flip the fabric over so I could do the same thing on the other side. And then for the edges, I planned on using this liquid stitch stuff because this is my absolute favorite, because I don't sew. If you sew, this would be super easy to just run through the sewing machine, but then my liquid stitch ran out. So I just quickly grabbed my hot glue gun and I'm going to run it along both sides, like right along the edge, as close to the edge as you can get. Don't burn yourself. I burned myself so many times in this video. And then as you're gluing, once you get up to the top part where we made the little loop for the rope, don't glue that part. Leave that open. You want it to be like a little flap. And then do the same thing on the other side. And I actually got the inspiration for this, it's like a gift sack from ones that I saw at Michael's. They're like huge. You can put tons of presents in them, and I think they were called like Santa mail or something. So after you have it all glued and it's dry and cooled, flip it right side out. You're going to want to push the edges out and stuff. Can you tell how big this thing is? I think I said 24 inches by 34 inches. And then I'm using this rope. I think I got it at Michael's, but you could use rope from the Dollar Tree or ribbon, anything you want to use. But I am just gluing the tiniest little edge of the rope onto this little dowel stick, just so it's easier to push the rope through. If you don't have that, you can attach it to like a wire or something like that, or a pencil, and just kind of wiggle it through. And then I did the same thing with the other side. And then you can just unglue the rope from the stick. I just did a very small little piece. And then this is where you can cinch it. But I cut mine to the same length, and then I'm going to be adding some beads. This isn't necessary. You could just go ahead and tie it off and like fray the edges just to give it a little bit of, I don't know, texture and fun. But I am taping off the edges of the rope so that I can thread them through the beads. And these beads are from craftparts.com. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I can't remember, but they have some really good wood pieces for awesome prices. And I ended up just doing 2 beads and then just knotted it. This is such a simple DIY, but so cute for, even if you don't use it like as a real present sack or present bag, it would be really cute decor sitting on like a fireplace or anything like that. So after you're done with the little tassels, I'm going to be using this Merry Christmas stencil. Use whatever you have. This I think came from Walmart last year. And I like to tape off the edges of my stencils just so it doesn't move on me. And you want to make sure the fabric is flat. because if there's like wrinkles and bubbles and stuff, that will make it easier for the paint to bleed through. So I'm using a sponge. I just find that easier to control when I'm using stencils rather than a paintbrush. And I wet the sponge and just get a little bit of the paint on the sponge and just keep dabbing. To me, it's just easier to do it in light layers. And I didn't have like a rusty or maroon color red, so I just took some red and brown and mixed them together, because I wanted this to kind of have like a rustic or like vintage look. And then I just went over all of Merry Christmas. I should have mentioned this before, I do have a board in the bag. That way it doesn't bleed through to the other side of the fabric. That's why I didn't do the whole word Merry up there, because I had to move the board. But I wanted to finish the letters that the board was under. So I want to ask you guys a favor. When you guys are done and sick and tired of watching Christmas videos, let me know. That way I can kind of change it up and do what you guys would like to see. And then after Merry Christmas, I'm just doing the berries in that same red color, and I mixed green and brown just to make more of like a, I don't know, a real looking green, like a natural green, rather than the bright green that I had. And then this is my favorite part, the reveal. I like how it turned out, except that little spot. I kind of went over with the sponge, but that's fine. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. There's my dog Bella. She wanted to be in the picture. But I love this present bag because it's so huge and it's just perfect. I think it's super like vintage and, I don't know, festive. For this next one, I am just going to be using a coffee can and this fabric and some Elmer's glue. And since I haven't been able to do my trash to treasure videos lately, I thought I would throw this in there. So I just stripped off the label from the coffee can and then cut the fabric to the size that I wanted. And I'm just going to be using Elmer's glue. You can use Mod Podge if you have it. I just had the glue right here, so it works just as well. And I wanted to use a coffee can because I like the little ridges. I might redo it because I want the ridges to show up a little bit better, and I didn't push the fabric down, you know, tight enough into the little grooves. And I apologize for the lighting. So I just took the glue and went over the whole thing and then grabbed a paintbrush to smooth it out because I didn't want lumps and bumps under the fabric. So are you guys still liking the trash to treasure type videos where I use like actual trash and garbage and recyclable items and turn it into like crafts and stuff like that? Let me know. I know I haven't done them in quite a while. Just been working a lot over on my other channel. I've been doing a bunch of Christmas decorate with me videos. So if you're into that kind of thing, I will have my channel listed up in the cards and also in the description box. And my other channel is Life, Love, and Endless Laundry. I actually did a kitchen and dining room Christmas decorate with me video today. And then I'm just cutting the excess fabric off and then just gluing down the edge. And for the bottom, I just cut slits in the fabric just so it was easier to fold down without getting, you know, like folds and stuff in the fabric. And then I used a little bit of both of the glues. The hot glue gun just worked great for holding it down right away. And I don't know if you can see the glue. It was still wet, but once the clear glue dries, you won't be able to see those spots. So then I am taking a piece of this rope, and I got this rope from burlapfabrics.com. I will link their website in my description box. That's where I get my burlap and some of my fabrics and twine and stuff like that. So be sure to check them out if you're in need of that kind of thing. I was having a hard time because I was trying to use the hot glue gun with my left hand, and I'm not left-handed. So I just wanted the edges just to look a little bit more finished. That's why I'm putting this rope on there. You definitely don't have to. And plus I love that green color. You could use ribbon. You can use ribbon to like hang over the edge of the can and also to wrap around your Christmas tree if you want. I just like how it kind of like, I don't know, peeked over. And this is what it looks like all finished. I think it's super happy and bright, and it looks great with the bag too. For this next one, I am taking a Dollar Tree Christmas tree, some of their little extra pieces, and some picks. And I'm going to be making, what is it called? Swag. Somebody had asked me to do swag for their mailbox. I think this would look great on their mailbox. You could really use this under, you know, your outdoor lights. I wouldn't use hot glue if you're using it outdoors, but this I'm just going to be hanging on a sled that I made for decor right next to my fireplace. So anyway, you take the Dollar Tree tree and you kind of fluff it out, make sure it's flat on one side, and it's going to be upside down. You're not going to use it as a tree. And I got the inspiration for this from, I believe it was Kristen Kay. I think it was, because she did like a Christmas tree, or a Dollar Tree Christmas tree hack video, and where she like transformed the trees into like wreaths and stuff like that. It really was an awesome video, but I got the idea from her to do this. And then after you get it all fluffed up like you want, you just add in your little picks just to fill it out a little bit more and give it different textures with like the different pine needles and stuff. And then you can fill in the empty spaces with those little, I don't even know what they're called, those little filler pieces from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm also adding some berries just to give it some color. And then I am taking some more of those strips just to cover up the base of what was the Christmas tree base. And you can use any type of bow for the top. I'm going to be using this and a bow that I attempted to make. I am not good at bows at all. You'll see that in a minute. But I wanted to add a little bit more greenery just to give it more texture and a little bit of different colors going on. And here's the bow I made. I mean, I'm horrible at bows, but I used hot glue and just kind of, I don't know, folded some pieces. And because it did not look good, I'm going to be adding this other bow that I got from Walmart. I believe it was like 95 cents or something. And I'm just going to glue it on top of the bow that I made. And here it is, just hanging from the sled that I made. I can link that video in my description box if you guys would like to learn how to make this little sled. Today I'm going to be showing you some really cute, easy front porch outdoor, they're joy boxes, but they're like topiaries, if I'm saying that right. So if you'd like to see that, then please keep watching. So originally I was going to go to Home Depot and get these pieces, and you can get them cut there as well. Or I think you can find these pieces like, I think you can find wood pieces in different sizes at like Michael's and Hobby Lobby. I'll try and link them in the description box. But you could go to Lowe's or Home Depot and they can make some cuts for you. But my husband and I decided to use the scrap wood that we already have in the garage just to get it out of the way. So I will put the sizes that we cut these in the description box as well. So my husband did all the cutting and made a huge mess. And then I am going to paint and prime the boards because they are, some of them are really like porous and not very good types of wood, especially to be outside. So I just gave them 2 coats of this white primer and paint combined. As you can tell, I have like 3 different kinds of wood there. Like one is from like cabinets, one I think is like a particle board. Yeah, but we're just using up scraps that we had. And then we're just taking some wood glue and gluing the boxes together. And as you can see here, the lid or the top of all these boxes is a little bit bigger than the sides, just, you know, because they have to all line up evenly. And then along with the wood glue, that would hold it just fine, but we're using nails as well. Sorry for the shaky camera. And we had a heck of a time with some of these boards because they're super thin. So to get the nail to go in them was really hard. We were splitting wood, but I saved you from seeing all that. So if you can, get the thicker pieces of wood. But I wanted to do that this year. Usually I do my own like tree topiary things in our planters on the front porch. I have a video on that, on how to make those out of tomato cages and garland. So I will link that above if you're interested. But I wanted something a little bit different this year. I got some super cute pillows and stuff to go outdoors. I'll show you that. I'm going to be putting like a porch decorate with me video on my other channel, Life, Love, and Endless Laundry. I will link that channel as well. That's where I'm going to be doing all my Christmas decorating, inside and outside. So after those were all together, we gave them a coat of the white primer paint, or 2 coats of them. And I don't know if I just showed it to you, but these boxes don't have a bottom. That way when I'm storing them, when it's not Christmas time, they can just sit inside each other and it takes up less space. So my husband and I just did a couple quick coats on these because they will be out in the rain and snow, so we didn't want them to get ruined. And then my husband cut out the word joy for me, and he's putting them on the boxes. You could use stencils. I know Hobby Lobby and Michael's has them. You could use like the snowflake that you can get at Dollar Tree. There's so many ways you can do it. You could freehand the letters on here. But he just put the vinyl down with some transfer tape and then pulled it up. And this one is going to be opposite of the other letters. So that's why he's taping off the box so that it doesn't get coated in the red paint. I just wanted the snowflake to be red. And I will put the color of red that I used up in the corner. So then he did the same thing with the other letters except opposite of the snowflake. So these boxes will be red and the letters will be white. And this was such a windy day. It was not working with us at all with the spray paint. So it took a couple coats more than we thought just because the paint wasn't landing on the boxes. So this is the fun part. I always love revealing the letters or taking the tape off. It's super fun. And I was really excited how they turned out. It's better than I thought they would be. And there's some spots where the paint and primer had lifted, but that was on those particle board type pieces. It just wasn't holding the paint like I thought it would, but that's okay. I wanted them to be a little bit rustic. And here they are. I think it's so cute. I'm going to do another set for the other side of the door. I'm doing 2 and putting them in our planter. And then I added a little bit of greenery. I actually used actual pieces from a bush that we had, but you could use fake garland. So today's video is really fun for me. You know, if you've been with me for a while, that I love doing lanterns. So if you'd like to see how I did this one, then please keep watching. So for this one, it's really simple. I will put the sizes up in the corner and in my description box, but all you'll need are some Dollar Tree frames. I have these 5x7 ones, and I was going for more of like a modern, a little bit glitzy look, so I went with the black and silver. But with the frames, they might say 5x7, but it doesn't mean the actual frame size is 5x7. So I'm showing you the size that mine is. so that my top and bottom measurements will fit your frames. If you go with different size frames, you'll want to adjust the top and bottom sizes. You will also need these. These are going to be like pillars. You could also use the square dowel rods. Those would be really easy. These my husband cut for me. This is the bottom. It's just square. And the top, just super simple. You could use square ones. You don't need this fancy little edge, but I wanted to change it up a little bit different than the white one that I've done before. I'll show you a picture of that in the corner if you haven't seen it. But these are, you could get blocks like this or wood squares like this at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. They'll just be different sizes if you can't cut them yourself. And I believe Home Depot could make some cuts for you as well. You'll also need a topper. I used that from a spindle. You'll need some wood glue, hot glue, and a ruler. And this, I am just showing you the cuts that my husband made for me. I love when he can help me out. I can definitely use power tools myself, but I think he has more fun doing it. Well, I'm not sure if that's true. I love using power tools too, but I don't know. I think he enjoys helping as much as I like him helping me out on these projects. So he's doing the two top pieces. And then cutting the pillars for me. Like I said, I will have sizes and angles and stuff in the description box if you guys are interested. But these little pillar things were my husband's idea, and I love how it turned out, so I'm so glad he suggested them. And then these little pieces are going to be the feet. Not necessary either. And then this is the little spindle thing. I've used this piece for so many projects, like a tiered tray. I think I used it for a little soap tray, but I'm cutting off another little piece for the top of this lantern. And then I'm just taking the pieces that he cut for me and sanding them really well. This one we cut upside down on accident. We should have done it on the nice smooth side, but that's okay. Nothing a little sanding won't help. Then you want to measure to make sure that top piece is centered onto the other top piece. And then I just marked it so that when I took it off to put the wood glue on and put it back down, I would put it in the same spot. So then I'm taking a little bit of that wood glue and coating it pretty good, and also hot glue to hold it in place while the wood glue dries. And then normally I would clamp it, but I was having such a hard time with these clamps. I guess didn't have enough strength in my hand to open them up. So I just put something heavy on top of it, and that'll work just fine. So then I'm taking the frames and I'm pulling the back piece out and the glass, and I'm also removing these tabs because you will see them if they're folded down. You're gonna see them when the lantern's all put together, so you don't want that. And then you can use some Gorilla Glue. I'm sure a high heat hot glue gun would work just fine to hold the mirror, or I'm sorry, the glass in. I believe that's what I used last time. I can't remember. and that one has held up great. But I used both and then set the glass back in lightly. I didn't want to push too hard because I didn't want the glue to like gush out. And then I just went ahead and did that to all 4 frames. And then here is where you're taking those little pillar pieces. Like I said, you could use the square dowel rods if you didn't have a way to cut them. And then same here, I'm using some of the wood glue and hot glue. And I laid the frame flat, like facing up flat on a flat surface, and then also did the same with the pillars. That way there's this little gap, or not gap, it's the little raised edge in front of the frame. I just thought that would look prettier. And then I did that on 2 sides. I can't talk tonight, I'm sorry. And then let those dry pretty good. And then after those were dry, I attached the other 2 frames to it. And you want to make sure the frame that you're attaching to that little pillar piece is on the inside of the pillar piece, just like you did with the other frame. If that makes sense. You'll be able to tell just by watching. And then you let those dry, and then you attach the other frame in the same way. And you'll probably have to pull on the frames a little bit just to make sure that they line up evenly. And I think it's already super pretty. I like the rustic modern look to it. So then taking the bottom, I'm going to set the base on the top so that I can measure it out and mark it just like I did for the top piece. And then in the same way, just taking some of the wood glue and hot glue and putting it onto the bottom base piece. And then you're going to want to let that dry really well. And then while I was waiting, I just added that little spindle top piece to my topper. So then this is the lantern without the feet. I just went ahead and added a battery candle and this little greenery piece from the Dollar Tree. And that's what it looks like without the feet. And then here, I forgot actually to add them. My husband reminded me, so I'm adding them. And then here it is, all finished. I think it's super pretty. It can be used for any holiday, any season. I keep my other one up all year round. I just think they're great with little candles or little scenes in them and stuff. I will link my other 2 lanterns if you want to see those. Well, there's a few more to go, and if you're still with me, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. So to start out with, I'm using this really old frame and the backer to the old frame because I can't use the front because, oh my gosh, it is so cute. This is a really old strawberry shortcake picture that I had. I just think it's adorable. So I will not be ruining that at all. I'm just going to be using the back, and I might not even use the back. I might just cut up like a piece of cardboard or something. But I just needed it for the size so that I could cut out the burlap, and I'm going to be using this old sign. It was actually in a dollar store frame from last year, so I think you could probably still get it. I just needed the words because I don't have like a Cricut or anything that I use for you know, vinyl lettering or anything. So for this project, we're gonna do like a grain sack look. So I am taking some masking tape and taping off the thickness that I want my first couple lines. And I wanted the first couple to be really thin. So that's why I taped them so close together. And then I'm using a marker. I believe it's a fabric marker. Can't remember, I've had it for quite a while. But you could use a Sharpie or even paint with the little foam brushes where you just like kind of dab it on. But this was easier, I didn't have to wait for it to dry or anything. So I did the first line, and what's cool about this is you can reuse that same tape. And then I'm just moving it over because I want to do another really thin line next to that one. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it to make it just about the same size as the other line. And then just doing the same thing with the marker. And then for the next line, I am using a thicker masking tape to separate the lines, but you could use 2 pieces depending on the thickness that you wanted in between the next set of lines. So for the next one, I'm doing another thin line, and then after that, I'm going to be doing a thicker line. And this has got to be one of the quickest DIYs, but it turns out super cute. And like I said, these decor pieces can be used any time of year. It can just be changed up with like what you put around it for the seasons or holidays or whatever. So this is where I'm just making it a little bit thicker, like the line in between. So, well, actually not thicker. I wanted it, the separation between the little thin line and the big line to be quite small. So I didn't move the first piece of tape. I just moved that second piece. And then here I'm just coloring in the thicker line. I don't know. Sometimes I should just stop talking and just let you watch. So then for the bottom part of the frame, I'm going to do the same type of pattern where I do the two little thin lines and then a thicker line with nothing, and then you'll see. So how's everybody doing? Are you guys having a good week? I know I am. I've been loving the weather. It's been in the 70s, which is crazy in November, especially here. So we've been able to get some house projects done, which is really cool. And we're supposed to be getting new siding pretty soon, so I'm really excited about that. It'll just make it warmer inside. And moving on to the second line, I'm doing the same kind of thing. And you could definitely, if you wanted these to be perfect, you could measure in between each line. It would be simple enough. I just don't do that. I just eyeball everything. And this burlap, I don't know if I already said it, but this burlap is from burlapfabric.com. You guys know I've worked with them forever. They have some great fabrics and ribbons and whatever you can think of. I will have them listed in my description box, so you can head on over and check out the fabrics that they have. And now I'm just doing the thickest line at the bottom. Kind of matches the same size as the top. And then for the words, I'm just using this graphite transfer paper. I've had this for a long time from Arteza, and it works great. I did find out on this project it didn't work nearly as well as I wanted it to. I think it was just the texture of the fabric, or maybe I didn't push hard enough. But if you use a different fabric, this will work awesome. I'm pretty sure of it. I've used it on towels, I've used it on paper, I've used it on just about everything. But for some reason, burlap, it did not want to transfer very well. It transferred enough that I could go over the words, but you'll see here in a second. But with the graphite paper, I like to tape it down, and also the sign, tape it down where I want it so that it doesn't move at all. That way you don't get any kind of like mess up with the letters. So I usually just take a pen with a cap on it, or like this is a mechanical pencil. I just have the lead all the way in the pencil so it's not sticking out. I'm just using the plastic pointy tip of the pencil just so I could push kind of hard to get it to transfer onto the fabric. And I want to say this sign, I actually used this transfer paper on the last DIY with this. I did it like a year ago onto I think it was a cutting board or something. I can't remember. I'll link it if I can find it. Or I'll link it if I can remember. Let's say it that way. So as you can see, it didn't transfer really well. It's super light, so I'm trying to, like, if I lift up the fabric on my end, it makes it so that I can see it a little bit better to trace it. It's not going to look as good as if I could see the letters, but I tried. Wouldn't it be so awesome to be able to do this freehand? I need to start practicing again. And you can kind of see here that I was having a really hard time seeing the letters because, I don't know, the letters that I was doing was they were kind of, I don't know, a little bit sloppy, a little bit messed up, but that's okay. So after that's all done, I just took the wood frame around and put the burlap in with the cardboard backing. And that's it, super simple. And like I said, you could use this any time of year. I love it with Christmas decorations. I think it's super rustic and very pretty. And a perfect sign for Christmas because I love getting together with family. And also here it is decorated for fall, for like Thanksgiving and stuff. So let me know what you guys think of that one. And if you guys like seeing DIYs like this that can be used any time of year. So for this next one, I got this blessed sign from Michael's the other day. I think it was Michael's. Yeah, because we went shopping for Christmas trees. And you will also need some paints. And you guys have seen me use this technique before with baby wipes, where you just take a mixture of different paints that you want. If you want like a wood texture look, and you just take the wet baby wipes with some of the paint and you just layer the paint on to give it the wood color that you would like. I'm taping off the word just so that I don't get the brown on the letters. So I usually add in yellow and brown when I'm doing like a wood look because I like that tone. I don't want it to be too dark and I don't want it to be too like gray. And it's kind of fun because you can just keep layering and layering and I don't know, it's fun to experiment. And don't mind my nails. As this video goes on, you'll see I have less and less of the fancy longer nails on because, I don't know, I get to where I just like to pick them off. They're fake, so it's okay. So after I was happy with the wood color, I'm just removing the tape and I'm going to paint the letters with this, I can't remember what it's called, toasted marshmallow color. It's a Glidden color that I got from Home Depot. You can get like those little sample jars I just showed you. Because I didn't want it like bright white, I still wanted it to be like an off-white. So after that, I did the same technique with the baby white, but with some black and brown paint mixed because I wanted the outside of the letters to just be darker and look a little bit more rustic. And this I was going to show you two ways, like with this greenery, I think that would look really pretty for like fall and Thanksgiving. You could put any type of greenery or flowers that you want with it, or you could go ahead and take these little greenery strips from the Dollar Tree, and they're actually the perfect size, and because they have a wire in them, you can bend it around the edges like that and then just hot glue them on. And that's perfect for Christmas, and you could even leave it up for winter because you're not adding any like reds or anything. And I think this is so cute and so pretty. I think it would look awesome on a shelf. And those were only 99 cents, I believe, from Michael's. I can't remember if I said that. For this next one, you can use a wreath that you already have. That's one that I did in my last video. I will link that above. And also, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, I'm going to use this plastic bag from Hobby Lobby. I just loved the picture on it. Obviously, I'm going to cut the word Hobby Lobby out, but you can use anything that you want. I tried to film me cutting this foam board because that's going to be the backer where I Mod Podged the bag onto. I just traced around the edge of that wreath. You can do any size that works for you. But I'm going to end up doing my own wreath on the outside. I'm not going to use the one I just showed you. So I just used that circle to place the bag on like the size that I wanted and, you know, the way that I wanted. And I'm going to use a little bit of Mod Podge on the foam board. And you're probably thinking I'm crazy, but if you've been with my channel for a while, you know I love trash to treasure videos where I take anything from like the trash or recycle bin and turn it into something usable or a piece of home decor. I know my husband probably thought I was a little nutty when I told him not to throw the bag away, but he knows how I am by now. So after I get it placed how I want, it helps if you spray the foam board and the bag a little bit with water before you put it down on the Mod Podge. That way you can slide it around and push out the air bubbles. And this is what I was talking about. Originally I was going to use this wreath to put around it, but it was just too, I don't know, too much going on. So I'm going to show you what I ended up doing. But first I'm going to cut off the excess. And you want to wait for the Mod Podge to dry. That way you're not pulling and tugging on the plastic while it's still drying. So I waited overnight patiently, which is something I don't normally do. And I flipped it over, and I'm going to be attaching these wooden stir sticks, or if you have popsicle sticks or anything. I just needed something to attach the greenery to on the outside. So I'm putting down these stir sticks so that they hang over a little bit on the edges so that I have something to glue to. And I just did that all the way around. So how many of you do that where you see something that's like, I don't know, meant to throw away or to be put in the recycle bin, and you know you can turn it into something super cool? So I'm just taking the hot glue and gluing on the little wooden stir sticks, and I keep bumping my camera, I'm sorry. And then just doing that all the way around. I know I get a lot of messages from you guys saying like your husbands think you're hoarders or whatever for keeping, you know, like stuff like this, like plastic bags or plastic containers or whatever. I know for a while my husband, you know, was a little bit worried, but then saw what you can actually make from stuff like this. And it saves a lot of money if you can do that. So then after I was done, I just cut it off and then glued the end to the beginning of the little greenery piece. And that's it. Let me know what you guys think of this video and think of these projects. Let me know what one is your favorite. Thank you guys all so much for your love and support. I hope you're having a great week. Stay safe and take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.